because half the shit she was dealing with that day was stupid, including this case. Stupid, useless, a waste of time, waste of my time and my money, waste of the judge's time, waste of the people's money, waste of the people's resources with this drama bullshit. That's what it was. And the judge was calling it out, in my opinion. Hello, everybody. Long time no talk. Not really. I was live with y'all for 7 hours yesterday? 6 hours, 45 minutes. I was going to come back today and finish. This thing been through it. Look at all the makeup all over it already. I just bought it yesterday. But my voice needed a little bit of a break. I think I probably have another 1 to 3 hours left on the book. So we will be finishing up the read through. If you missed yesterday's 6 hour, 40 something minute live stream where I took almost no breaks. I think I did take one bathroom break, but please do go check that out. It's just basically me reading and reacting and commenting on Brittany's new book. Allegedly Brittany's new book. I mean, jury's still out on if Brittany wrote that book. I mean, like I said, jury's still out. I haven't made my mind up one way or the other. I know people have already developed strong opinions on it, but today's video is not about Britney Spears, strictly speaking, although it kind of is related to the Britney Spears world. It has to do with Bryan Scott Kuchar, who actually Lou Taylor sued him in the Free Britney movement. Now, at the time that she sued him, he was purporting to be a fan of Britney Spears and an activist in the Free Britney movement. Well, apparently he bought Lou Taylor's domain name in order to sell products and stuff on the site. Now, because it's Lou Taylor, I don't really care, and I thought it was funny. Well, at some point, Lou and Bryan Scott Kuchar did settle their lawsuit. But at some point, Bryan Kuchar started to act in a very abusive, threatening, and harassing way towards some of the members of the movement. It was so extreme, in fact, that Free Britney LA had to hire security at the November 2021 hearing where Britney was actually set free from her conservatorship. And a large part of why they did have to hire security was because of Bryan Scott Kuchar's threats. Well, coming as a surprise to at least some of us, the man did actually show up to the hearing, and I felt very afraid of him and very threatened by him. He's about 6 foot something. I mean, I would say he's between 6 feet tall and 6'4". I don't really exactly remember. I just remember looking at him and thinking like, that is an enormous human being. That's a huge, huge human, right? And he was menacingly, look, my voice is cracking because I'm still afraid of him. He's a stalker. He's a stalker. That is what he is. And now he's become, for some reason, obsessed with me. So at some point in August, like August 15th or so, Bryan Scott Kuchar actually started a business in Georgia called That Surprise Witness LLC. And I think it's because he's an obsessed stalker. And obviously I own That Surprise Witness, the name, right? But he was doing it, in my opinion, to harass and terrorize me. So I didn't even know about that at the time that he did it. Well, at the end of August, like August 29th, he attempted in his home state to get a restraining order against me to stop me from harassing him, which I've never done. I've never done that. Well, the judge took one look at that request for a restraining order and made the right decision and said, what? No, I'm not giving you a restraining order against a girl who's never even been in Georgia. And the stuff that he said in his filing, it wasn't even true stuff. In my opinion, it was lies. So even with the lies that Bryan tried to put into this thing, the judge said no restraining order. But by statute or something, he was allowed to still request a hearing. Now, at this hearing, he would have a very uphill battle because he did not meet the minimum standard to even get a temporary restraining order. And y'all know they just be handing them out like hotcakes. You don't even have to have evidence, really. You just got to make claims. He didn't even make strong enough claims to get a restraining order against me because I haven't done anything that would create probable cause for a restraining order. My big crime was daring to mention his name and daring to speak out against him and against his abusive, harassing, stalkish behaviors. That was my big crime. And as a result of me exercising my free speech and just simply speaking out as a victim of this crazy lunatic, he abused the legal system. He abused the legal system to try and silence me. Well, guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work at all. He couldn't even so much as get a temporary restraining, couldn't even so much as come up with enough lies to get a temporary restraining order. So that was in the end of August. So then at the end of September, we were scheduled to have a hearing, September 27th. We showed up. I have a lawyer that I had to pay. I mean, it's thousands of dollars now. I'm out of pocket for this frivolous, meritless bullshit slap lawsuit. So we show up to court on September 27th, and all of a sudden, Bryan decided, because now I have requested attorney's fees because I should be paid them because of this frivolous, meritless, malicious prosecution that this person has now engaged in. So we get to court the 27th, and all of a sudden, now Bryan done hired a lawyer. He hired a lawyer on September 26th for a restraining order that he filed in August. He waited nearly a month after filing for this restraining order to even so much as bother hiring a lawyer. And then the lawyer himself is a criminal defense attorney. So I really don't know why you would hire a criminal defense attorney if you're the one prosecuting, but that's neither here nor there. In my opinion, was because he was shook that I'd said that I wanted my attorney's fees and I do deserve them. So the attorney shows up and he has no decorum and he is just nasty. He has no civility on how to act in a courtroom. Like there's certain like levels of reverence that you're supposed to show in a court setting. And Bryan's attorney, completely unsurprisingly, because he would have to represent somebody like Bryan, this attorney had absolutely no sense on how to act in a courtroom setting. No clue at all. He was a bully. He had something strange going on with his eyebrows. I'm really not sure if they're tattooed on, if they were melting off. It was very strange. It looked uncanny. It almost was like, is this a human? I really don't know. But didn't know how to act and was very rude. But the judge in the case on September 27th, her name is Judge Manning. And I don't really know what is going on over there in the Fulton County Courthouse and all that. I can't speak to all of that. I know that there's corruption all over the place. But what I can say is Judge Manning was not here to entertain any bullshit. She was very straightforward. She was tough, and she was not about to be putting up with anybody's bullshit. So my lawyer that I had hired to represent me in that case, he is licensed to practice law, I think in California only. But the way that lawyers can practice in other states is through a process called ad hoc vice. And basically you just fill out some papers and the court will admit you on a case-by-case basis. So my lawyer did not take the Georgia bar. So there was some technical paperwork stuff that he had to do to represent me in Georgia. Now, at that September 27th hearing, all of the paperwork hadn't fully gone through yet. So technically, my lawyer was not allowed to practice law in Georgia at the time. So Bryan's lawyer, of course, rude, exploits that and says, I'm going to report you to the bar of Georgia if you say one more word making arguments in this case. Like basically just a bully, a complete bully representing a bully. So my lawyer is very sweet and very nice and very smart. Very smart and very good and very competent. And I would recommend him. And I'm very happy that I had him. But he's kind of like, okay, Your Honor, no problem. Like, let's just finish this paperwork out. We'll push the hearing off a little bit longer. A hearing that was not necessary, just for the record. The hearing did not need to happen because there was no restraining order. He didn't even meet the threshold to even so much as get a temporary restraining order. He was just using technicalities like, well, technically I'm entitled to a hearing, so I'm going to terrorize and harass and bully BJ with malicious prosecution and abuse of the legal system. And that's what he did. So the little mole rat representing Bryan was like, Your Honor, all I'm asking for is a 30-day continuance, nothing more. And it's like, nothing more? Y'all are already hugely inconveniencing me for one, and you owe me money for my time for two. And my lawyer's fees for three. But my lawyer, he's very nice. He's very, he knows how to act. He has courtroom decorum. So he's like, no problem, Your Honor. You know what? We'll be back here in a month and we'll just make the arguments then. So that's what we did. So day before yesterday, we had court. First of all, the court was running late. My hearing was set for 2:00, but there was like a whole entire group of people whose hearings were set for 12:30. So by the time we logged in at 2:00, oh my God, we had to wait I think it was 2 hours before it actually became our turn. And we had to listen to every drama that has happened in the city of Atlanta. Oh my gosh, there was so much stuff going on. I was feeling like I was a judge. I was taking notes. I was trying to figure out which side I believed. Now, in this instance, the judge had removed the people who had shown up as witnesses into the waiting room. And so they were not even allowed to be in the courtroom. This is all on Zoom, by the way. This is all on Zoom. Now, the one thing that I noticed just off the bat, Judge Manning was no longer the judge on the case. It was a different judge named Judge Houston Habrowski, I think. I'll put her name and her picture right here. But yet again, I mean, each and every case, I think we had to sit through her deciding on 4 restraining order cases before she even got to ours. And oh my gosh, she was so good. Like, it was so refreshing to see a judge that has sense. She was professional, and most important, my henna's wearing off. Most importantly to me, what I found to be the most impressive about this judge was that she was so patient. Because really, like, I would say like half of the, so there were four restraining orders applied for. I would say based on what I was able to see from what was presented in court, 2 of them seemed like maybe a little bit legitimate, and 2 of them seemed like it was just drama and people were kind of trying to just get revenge on each other using the legal system. Basically what the plaintiff in my case was doing, similar to that. So I really, honestly, I really appreciated Judge Houston, or I don't know if it's Houston, Habrowski's patience, her decorum. She was no nonsense. She wasn't sitting around here trying to play games with people either. She wasn't for play in any way, but she was smart, thoughtful, I mean, rock solid. I really, really appreciated her. And so even though I wanted Judge Manning at first because she was so cool in that first hearing, she also has a YouTube channel. I'll link Judge Manning's YouTube channel below. She was the judge on the first hearing that I went to. She doesn't play around. These two, they don't play around. And so each and every case that she would decide, in my opinion, from what I could see, it was fair. She was making fair decisions. She, in my opinion, was making the right decisions just based on what we could see. And she was asking the right questions. And it just really seemed like she knew what she was doing. Thank God, because you cannot say that for all the judges in this country. So it finally comes around to be our time. And my lawyer had 2 different arguments. Now, if you're in law school, or if you're a paralegal, or if you're just like an armchair, legal fan or whatever, you know about the concept of jurisdiction. So there's 2 types of jurisdiction: personal jurisdiction and subject matter jurisdiction. So basically, just to put it in like a really layman's terms, courts cannot make decisions over people or subjects that they are not authorized to make decisions over. So in my case, my lawyer wanted to make a jurisdictional argument. Now, personal jurisdiction is where the court has authority to regulate a person's behavior or to adjudicate a person's behavior. So in this specific case, my lawyer wanted to argue that a Georgia state court does not have jurisdiction over me. Put another way, a Georgia state court cannot tell me what I can and cannot say because I am not subject to the laws of Georgia. I have not been to Georgia other than maybe a layover inside the airport and not left outside of the airport. I have not done business in Georgia. I have not specifically gone to Georgia to conduct business in Georgia. I have never owned property in Georgia. I have never attempted to purchase property in Georgia. I have no family in Georgia. I have no businesses in Georgia. So it's just a random state out there in the world. So that was the first argument my lawyer wanted to make. Now, that personal jurisdiction argument is something that you have to make on the first instance. So before the judge can talk about anything else, you have to establish personal jurisdiction. Now, if I wouldn't have even mentioned personal jurisdiction, it would have been considered to be waived, or I would have been considered to be consenting to the jurisdiction of Georgia. So because of that, you have to make the personal jurisdiction arguments first. Now, my lawyer was pretty confident on those jurisdictional arguments, but he did have obviously other substantive arguments, like the boy didn't even get a temporary restraining order. He couldn't even so much as plead enough to get a temporary restraining order. Me and this person have only ever been in each other's vicinity once, and it was in a public place. I've never gone to his house. I've never called him on the phone. I've never met with him in person one-on-one on purpose ever. I've never made attempts to be around him, right? These were all the arguments my lawyer was prepared to make, and we would have won on those arguments as well. I know that we would have. He had an uphill battle. He had to basically erase the previous judge's determination that there was no probable cause for a restraining order. He had an uphill battle all the way. And the fact that he had an uphill battle is because he did not have a reason for a restraining order. So he had an uphill battle the whole way. So finally, after sitting through all these other people restraining order hearings, it was finally our turn. So My lawyer first makes the personal jurisdiction argument because, again, if the judge doesn't even have authority to even hear this case, she can't hear any of the facts of the case. She needs to know, do I have authority over BJ to even make a decision on a personal restraining order in Georgia? Also, it's just very weird that someone in Georgia would be able to tell me what I could do all the way over here in New Jersey if I have not made any strategic steps to participate in the laws of Georgia. So my lawyer, first argument he makes is the personal jurisdiction argument. The judge seems receptive to that argument, and she says you have to seek the restraining order in the state from where the postings are coming from. So everyone agrees that BJ's posts have been coming from New Jersey. And I don't know why y'all are bringing this to my court. So then it becomes time for this like human mole rat that's representing the plaintiff in the case to make his argument. I feel kind of bad for the man because he was kind of ambushed with this whole thing. He got this case the day before he was supposed to go to trial on it, and basically has had 30 days to catch up on this. He had to basically take an absolute nothing burger and make it appear as though his client was doing anything other than harassing me with the legal system, which was a hard thing to do. So he makes a little bit of a half attempt to make the case go forward. And he's like, but Your Honor, he lies. He's lying about me the whole time. Also, my side, we had to pay for a court transcript to be, transcribed or whatever. So I will be doing a whole video reading through the court transcript line by line by line by line. And maybe we'll just do it live and it'll be fun to go through how people are using the legal system to abuse me. That'll be cute, but the transcript takes a few days to get, so we'll have to do that video later. I'm just doing this from memory, but we will go word for word when the transcript comes out. And I will certainly make that available to the public because it is the people's information to know how systems are being used and how I'm being abused and how our free speech rights are being stomped all over with abuse tactics through malicious prosecution. So this is all just from my memory, but the lawyer on the other side is like lying about me and saying all kinds of lies. And she's been harassing, she's been telling her followers to harass. And then he really hypes me up. I mean, this J Apt, he hyped me right on up. He was like, she is very popular, she is very well established. And honestly, I mean, thank you for all of those, compliments, Jay. That was cute. That was sweet. But don't have nothing to do with your case. Don't have nothing to do with whether I stalked or harassed anybody. And it had nothing to do with anything about jurisdiction. So obviously, while lawyers, and I learned this in law school, while the other side is making their arguments, you really should not interrupt them unless it's something that's just very, very serious and very important. And I noticed that in the process of this attorney like hyping me up and complimenting me, he was really embellishing some of the things on my resume. And I felt like he was doing that in order to use that against me. And it was just untrue. And so I felt that it was very important right then and there to correct the record, because this is how it works. You have these transcripts, and sometimes they're like 100 pages, whatever, very long transcripts, depending on how long the trial is. And somebody will say a lie or just an accidental mess up, and it's not corrected until like 10 pages later on the transcript. And so if you're not actually sitting in the courtroom and you're just later reading the transcript, you might not even know that the thing that the person got wrong 10 pages earlier actually was corrected later. And so for me, it was just very important to correct this one thing. And I don't know why, because the man was saying all kinds of not true statements about me. I don't know why it was that I just needed to correct this one thing. But he said, Your Honor, she's highly educated. I'm paraphrasing. We'll read the transcript together. But he's like, Your Honor, she's highly educated. She has 2 Ivy League degrees from the University of Pennsylvania. And it's like, no, I don't. I said, I'm so sorry. Sorry to interrupt you, Attorney Apt, but I do not have 2 Ivy League degrees. I only got 1. And I think what he might have been confusing was that I do have a certificate from the Wharton School, which is like one of the best business schools in the whole world. Like anyone would agree. I do have a certificate. I took some extra classes to earn a little. It's kind of like, an extra little add-on, but it's not a degree. It's not a degree. And it's very important to me that my educational history is clear, because I do not want it to be said ever in the world that I have been misleading about my education. Also, I'm a first generation college student. I applied to one undergraduate college, Louisiana State University, and I got in. and I went there. That's where I went to school. I'm very proud of having gone to LSU, and I hope my kids want to go there. I hope y'all's kids go there. I love LSU. I love that I went to a public school for undergrad. I understand that, in order to be let into certain parts of the profession and certain doors only open to you if you do have this Ivy League pedigree. And so I did need to get it. But don't try to take away my public school cred, Jay Apt. Excuse me. Y'all know my cat's name is Ella Sue. Do not take away my public school cred, Mr. Attorney Apt. I don't know, y'all. I really don't know. It was hot. I was hot. Whatever. Like, technically speaking, was I supposed to be interrupting that attorney? He probably would say no, because he got very pissy afterwards. He was like, Your Honor. I'm paraphrasing again. Please tell the. I thought he was going to maybe throw out one of his axis bones, so upset about. Please inform the witness. And he's referring to me as the witness. And it's yeah, put some respect on my name. It's that surprise witness girl. Please tell the witness to only let her attorney speak. And it's I don't know if my attorney is looking at my resume right now, girl. It really wasn't a big issue. Actually, was I technically supposed to be talking and interrupting him? I would say yes, I was, because it really wasn't a big deal. He should have had his facts right. He should not be saying inaccurate facts to the judge under penalty of perjury in his capacity as an attorney who is supposed to be knowing all the facts of this case. He was mistaken at best. He was lying at worst. And so I think actually I did the right thing by correcting the record, and just let the record reflect, girl. I have one Ivy League degree, a Juris Doctorate. It's called a terminal degree or an advanced degree. It's a doctorate in Juris. I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor of jurisprudence. And I have a certificate from Wharton School, one of the best business schools in the world. And I have an undergraduate degree from Louisiana State University with 2 minors. So I just want the record to reflect that's my education. That's my degrees. 1 Ivy League degree so far. Who knows what'll happen in the future? Honestly, I don't want to go to school anymore. But who knows? I kind of do have a little bit of a hankering to go get my MBA. So maybe thank you, Jay, for manifesting that I might actually earn another one in the future, because what is time? You know what I mean? So that happened. And then there was one other thing too that the judge was like, okay, listen, because there was another thing that this attorney was trying to say that I was doing. And he was saying she's directing other people to harass and stalk and target his client, right? The plaintiff, the one who settled with Lou Taylor. And that's not true. That's unequivocally not true. So I don't know if the man was lying on purpose, or if he had been lied to, or if he was just simply mistaken. In any event, I have never, ever, ever sent anybody to him or to anybody else to target them or stalk them or anything like that. I've never done that. I never will. I do not condone it. And I'm telling y'all right now, for the 200,495th trillionth time, don't do that. But the judge was like, okay, listen, first of all, I don't really think I have jurisdiction here. So I think I'm going to dismiss it. I'm paraphrasing here. We'll read the transcript when I get it. But she's kind of like, but let's say it does get past the personal jurisdiction argument. I cannot put a protective order on her for something somebody else is doing. And it's duh. There's all these people all over the internet right now that are saying, Sean Reyes, right? He's so popular, and him reporting on stories about cops is making people go and post their address. Or, BJ is making people show up to so-and-so's house, or BJ is making people send threats, or so-and-so and so-and-so. And it's first of all, no, I'm not. That's a lie. But second of all, why don't y'all go after the people sending the threats? Because I'm not making nobody send nothing. There's no evidence that I've ever done that. And so that's kind of the argument that the judge was saying. She's like, how am I going to put a restraining order on this girl for something you're telling me somebody else did? Even if I had jurisdiction, right? So she even went so far as to tell them, all right, well, even if it survives jurisdiction, you're going to have a lot stronger argument than somebody else did something. And it's that was just another way that this judge was so smart and with it. And it's just common sense. That is the most important thing a judge can have. Common damn sense. And this judge, she was with it. She was sharp. She had book smarts. She had intelligence. She had law smarts, and she had common sense. And she was not putting up with anybody's stupidity. She was ready to probably go home because half the shit she was dealing with that day was stupid. Including this case. Stupid, useless, a waste of time, waste of my time and my money, waste of the judge's time, waste of the people's money, waste of the people's resources with this drama bullshit it. That's what it was. And the judge was calling it out, in my opinion. But I think her reasoning does highlight an important, broader point, which is you cannot get a restraining order granted on someone for something somebody else does. You have to have very solid proof that the person you're trying to get the restraining order against is actually a danger to you, has actually made any contact with you ever. And that brings me to one more point that I've been trying to figure out how to really address. And I haven't wanted to say anything about it because I don't want to make stuff kind of like worse than it is or like add to drama, because really the last thing I'm trying to do is drama. The issue is when I focus on facts, people want to make it about drama. People want to make it about, oh, it's you versus this person, or it's BJ versus so-and-so or whatever. And it's like, no, girl, no, it ain't. Don't even talk about it. Talk about the facts, because I promise you the facts alone are bad enough. That's what I always say. There's no reason to go after people. There's no reason to make threats towards people. I do not condone it. I do not do that. I do not ask people to do that. And in fact, I'm asking y'all, do not do that for the 700 trillionth time. No matter how many times I say that, people like Kuchar are going to try and say, first of all, with no evidence at all was presented for this, by the way. It was just blah, blah, blah. BJ harassed by sending other people. No, I didn't. That's a lie. First of all, it's not true. It's just not true. But even if it were true, you got to get a restraining order against the person who actually came after you. There's just no way that I, doing nothing, can be restrained from talking about somebody. It's just the question of the year. Get the restraining order against the person who threatened you. I think I've made it very clear and very public that I do not condone that type of behavior. And so recently there's been other issues going on with, I don't know, I think there was a Discord created, and y'all might have noticed I never went into that Discord. There was a That Surprise Witness Reddit community created. I did not create it. It is not mine. Maybe Bryan created it because he does own a company called That Surprise Witness LLC in Georgia. Maybe he created the That Surprise Witness community on Reddit. I don't know. I don't go on Reddit too much. Actually, I actively try to not ever go on Reddit. I mean, sometimes people will send me a Reddit, like a link. I'll click it. I'll read a thing here or there. I don't like Reddit. I don't really like it. I use Reddit out of absolute necessity. I don't like Discord. Want to know why I don't like Discord? Every single creator who I know personally has had issues with Discord. Everyone. Because what happens is it starts as a good thing. It starts as a nice community trying to, help a creator or help a cause or whatever. And it gets infiltrated. And then the infighting starts. Now, I learned my lesson very well in the Free Brittany movement. I continue to learn my lesson from it. You can go into a movement with the best of intentions, and the people who start it can have the best of intentions. But once people's egos start to get in the way, and once the cause that you're working on is important enough, infiltration happens, people who flip happen, people who sell out happen. Even at the least conspiratorial explanation of the whole thing, egos get in the way. People want to be the number one queen bee. People want to be the one that's in charge. People want to be the one that moderates or the one that decides what can be talked about. I do not have any time for that, any desire to be involved in it. When people try to tell me, oh, so-and-so is talking about so-and-so, I will literally not respond to it. I do not care. Y'all are grown-ups. If y'all can't sort out your interpersonal relationships with each other, you have more work to do. It isn't my job. It isn't my desire to be involved. My desire is to report on the investigations that I find and give y'all my commentary. I want nothing to do with drama. I want nothing to do with disagreements, and I want nothing to do with Discord, pun intended. The name of the app is Discord. Do y'all know what the definition of Discord is? Look at this. Let me show y'all the definition of Discord real quick. Y'all see this? Discord, noun, disagreement between people, lack of harmony between notes, disagree, okay? I don't want nothing to do with no Discord. Now, I will say, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm not grateful for support and stuff like that. I think that a Discord could be amazing. I think that a solid group of people coming together to work toward a goal is amazing, has worked in Free Brittany, worked in Free Bam. It works. What happens in my experience, and I've been at this for a few years, is it always devolves because of people's egos, because people don't feel like they're getting enough credit, because people don't feel like they're getting enough recognition. Sometimes they start bitching about not getting paid, even though they volunteered to not get paid the whole time. And honestly, it's really hurt me. It's really hurt me. I mean, even this Bryan Kuchar situation, nothing actually ever happened between us. Nothing ever happened. One day, I literally just woke up and the man hated me. And literally now is obsessed with me, in my opinion. Obsessed. In my opinion, half of the accounts online that talk shit about me are him. And it might be because of jealousy, because he was a big member of the Free Britney movement. He was a big member of it. Physically, he's large, but also he was just a big part of it. And I imagine when he settled his lawsuit with Lou, he wasn't allowed to any longer kind of like talk about it or something. This is just speculation. I really don't know. This is the least conspiratorial explanation that it could be, because the other possible explanation is that he was always hired to be one of these kind of like intel gatherer people that flips. Now, this is just speculation. I have no idea why he's doing what he's doing, but I can promise you it's not because I harassed him. Because when we were together around each other in person, the one single time ever, almost 2 years ago now, I made active steps to not be around him if I didn't absolutely have to. I spent a majority of the day in my hotel room specifically because I was afraid of him. Then he started a business in Georgia with the same name as the name I go by. He filed for a restraining order, waited days and days, I mean, over a week before he even attempted to serve me with the notice for the restraining order filings. Then he didn't even bother to hire an attorney to represent him till the day before the hearing. He had his attorney bully the shit out of me and my attorney for literally no reason, naked mole rat ass bitch. And then he lost. It was a flop. It was a fail anyway. So basically, long story short of the court hearing from the other day, I won. I was always going to win because there wasn't even a temporary restraining order applied in my case. No temporary restraining order even got applied. And so I was always going to win. And that's the thing too. I mean, people like to use the legal system to abuse you. And then whenever you use your knowledge of the legal system to win a case, they want to get mad. They want to say, BJ is just relying on technicalities. Bitch, you took me to court. What do you think court is? Court is technicalities. Y'all relied on technicalities whenever your lawyer was bullying my lawyer, talking about you were going to report him to the Georgia bar. Was that not a technicality? Yes, it was. That is how court works. Don't get mad because my lawyer knew the technicality to use. Because even if that technicality didn't work, nobody was getting a restraining order against me in Georgia because I did not harass anybody ever in any state. Period. I won. Period. The end. I have one Ivy League degree, one Ivy League certificate, and one public school degree. I've never harassed anybody. I've never sent anyone to harass anybody. I'm telling everyone right now publicly, I do not condone that, and I would never ask you to do that. I'm actively asking you not to do that. I'm very careful not to say or do anything unlawful, illegal, or wrong. I've done nothing unlawful, illegal, or wrong, and I'm just so sorry that y'all don't want me to talk about what my opinion and my commentary is. But I'm going to keep doing it. Nobody's going to be able to use the legal system to abuse me into silence. That is a promise. That's all I really had for today. I'm going to just keep winning and keep going about my life. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, Mina K. Bye.